showed the trauma kit, um, the basic medical kit, and I need to be honest, that's not good enough, and I should have said so in that video. Uh, we're going to talk in this video about um, the medications that you actually really need, and the tools that you really need that are not in an average trauma kit. So tourniquets are very important, right? Because um, they stop bleeding, obviously, right? But what happens when the blood loss is so great that someone stops breathing? Okay. Um, if you are not immediately going to be going to, first, I just want to say I'm not a medical. Do not take any of this as medical advice. Period. I'm not a medical doctor, and this is for a situation that I pray never would ever come, like a complete EMP event that knocked out the entire world's energy. Okay. We're taught to do CPR currently to keep an individual alive long enough to get them to medical help. Okay? When the truth is, that CPR, while important, um, getting that individual incubated is 100,000 times more important. 100,000 times more important. So anything when you're dealing with meds to injury, anything that can cause basically breathing to stop, you need to have a way of ensuring an individual can breathe, period. That's why people that go into combat will learn how to incubate individuals. And I'm not talking about medics. I'm talking about basically every Joe that's really went into combat, right? You're going to learn how to incubate somebody, and you're going to learn how to breathe for them. I am not going to teach that. Again, this is not medical advice whatsoever. But I highly advise people learn how that's done. The next thing for a Bugout bag, specifically, I can tell you it is very, very hard to stay awake naturally after hours and hours, maybe 24 hours, right? You don't know when that threat is going to hit. And I'm going to spill a little secret with you. The U.S. government understands this. The Ukrainian government understands this. The Russian government understands this. Sometimes, in order to save your life, you have no choice but to medicate men in order to keep them going for a longer period of time. So say you're bugging out and you're getting tired, but there's not a safe place to stop. You need to keep going. Period. You need to keep going. You don't risk stopping. No. So I'm prescribed Adderall through the VA. I'm lucky enough that I don't really take a whole bunch of it. So that is something that I will be able to keep inside of a Bugout bag. And something that friends, etc., if a horrible situation has happened, we could stay on point for longer than the threat could, if that makes sense. The next thing is, there's not, if everything really goes horrible, there's not a lot of really good solutions when it comes to anesthesia. There just isn't. There are things that have been made. I am not advising before electricity, before modern medicine, they used chloroform in like the Napoleonic Wars, etc. And it allowed surgeons to operate more efficiently, right? Um, and more effectively. Um, you know, specifically getting the bullet out without having somebody squirm, etc. Try to imagine doing something like that with somebody that you care about. I mean, someone you love, your family member, okay? You might literally be unwilling to get that bullet out or something out because inside it would hurt you so bad. It would hurt you so bad. But if you have the knowledge, which is, there is knowledge out there, if you had the knowledge, you could make something that would ensure you could do what was needed in an apocalyptic type world where you have no other options, period. And obviously the next thing, everyone on here I'm sure is already very, very aware of antibiotics. And you're aware of what pets that live in tanks, how you can obtain them. I think it's unfair that they're regulated at all. Honestly, I think it's extremely unfair for every American that just wants to have them in case there's a natural emergency, right? But if you build them up over the years, whatever it be, very important things to have. Very, very important things to have. A tiny cut with antibiotics remains a tiny cut. A tiny cut without antibiotics becomes a life or death thing. A toothache without antibiotics could absolutely kill you, without a doubt. Absolutely kill you. Simple things you must have them. You must have them. And I'm not aware of any trauma kits specifically that you can buy that had some of the things that I've spoken about in. But we are people of incredible courage and commitment, right? And in the events. And if you are preparing for something that you believe is going to happen, you will make these things happen. And who on earth would ever be spiteful or think that that's wrong to any degree? And if they do, just shame on them. Like, shame on them, absolutely. Shame on them. Bugging in. One of the best things that you have with bugging in is that you're able to develop a couple really, really key things that everybody is going to need. Everyone's going to need them. You will be able to trade for them. One, alcohol, which is an antiseptic. Bugging in, you can easily make it, okay? Two, puppies, right? Bugging in, you can easily make it. I'm not going to discuss anything that could be made after that, but somebody bugging in could be very valuable. That could be the way that you trade and get the food and different things that you need to stay safe forever. When we're talking about a real event where no government is ever coming back to save us, that could be your safety. So I'm going to say one thing about bugging in. Please just do me a favor one contact that's around you that you work on, maybe another person that is planning to bug in, but together you will work on the worst case scenario if you have to bug out. Um, the world is a shitty place, and people like me, I'm lucky enough to have friends, right? And I have a group that I know would have a real chance of survival, like a real chance, simply because we are in the service there. And our families would have a real chance. But I want you to think about individuals like me that maybe don't have a family, okay? That don't, that want to survive themselves, and they're going to need to survive by any means necessary, any means. I don't care how prepared anyone is. I do not care. I don't care if you've spent $100 million fortifying your property. You cannot hold that property against 12 individuals, we'll just say with my level of skill or above. You cannot hold it. You can't hold it. I don't care if you're locked inside of a bunker that is 50 feet thick of steel and concrete. It does not matter, period. If someone wants it and you have a group that's trained, they're going to get it. They are going to get it. So that's why community is so important. Now, if you're someone that's staying home, you need to build community so bad, because community can prevent that. Community can ensure that 10 guys like me have no chance of coming in, right? But only community can do that. Only community. In the military, when you have a target, say it's a house, we use grid lines, and we use what's called slicing the pie. So we each take a section of this grid square, which your house is in, and we will tactically cut the house slower and slower, like basically to where that grid line is just the house. We've cleared everything else, it's just the house. And now we've put ourselves in a position to where you have no tactical advantage. None. It will be, you will either decide to come out, or decide to die for possessions and food. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm telling you, when things get bad, there will be good people out there. I know, because I know in my fucking heart, I will be one of them. I have another channel, and I share intelligence. Like I said, I've had a very long career, very plugged in. I'm very familiar with some things happening in this country right now, and I'm not going to share politics in any way on this channel whatsoever. But the reason I have that channel is not for the left, it's not for the right, it's not for politics at all. It's to inform Americans, simply Americans. It's to provide